There's a quiet preference many people carry but almost never say out loud. It's not that you hate people. It's not that you're antisocial, broken, or bad at life. You just feel better when the world goes quiet. While others feel energized by packed rooms, loud laughter, and busy calendars, something inside you softens when plans get canceled, when the door closes, when the noise fades, when you're finally home. And at some point you've probably wondered, what does that say about me? Because from the outside, loving home can look like avoidance, like laziness, like you're missing out on life. But on the inside, it feels like relief. Like your shoulders drop without you realizing they were tense. Like your breathing slows for the first time all day. Like you can finally exist without performing. This isn't about being shy. It isn't about introversion the way social media simplifies it. And it definitely isn't about lacking ambition or curiosity. It's about safety. There's a part of you that relaxes when stimulation lowers, when nothing is demanded of you, when you don't have to respond, explain, adapt, or hold yourself together. At home, you don't disappear. You return to yourself. But here's the question most people never stop to ask. Why does quiet feel so necessary? And why, for some people, does home feel less like a preference and more like a refuge? That's where the real story begins. For many people, loving home isn't a personality trait. It isn't a lifestyle choice. And it isn't something they consciously decided. It's something their nervous system chose for them. After long periods of emotional, social, or psychological pressure, the body learns patterns long before the mind does. When life feels unpredictable, demanding, or unsafe, your system shifts into survival mode. At first, that survival might look like pushing harder, staying busy, staying strong, holding everything together. But eventually, something changes. The body gets tired of being on. And when fight or flight no longer feels sustainable, the nervous system finds another strategy: withdrawal. Not as avoidance, but as regulation. Home becomes the place where your system can finally exhale. The lighting is familiar. The sounds are predictable. No one is watching. No one needs anything from you. Your shoulders soften. Your thoughts slow. Your heart rate settles. This isn't comfort-seeking. It's stabilization. In a culture that glorifies constant motion, productivity, and visibility, this response is often misunderstood. From the outside, it can look like retreat, like disengagement, like giving up. But on the inside, something intelligent is happening. Your nervous system is conserving energy. It's lowering threat. It's trying to return you to baseline after too much noise for too long. That's why being home can feel restorative in a way nothing else does. Not because the world is bad, but because your system learned that quiet equals safety. And once the body learns that lesson, it doesn't forget it easily. Some people don't retreat into their homes because they prefer quiet. They do it because life slowly taught them that being out there costs too much. This pattern isn't formed by one dramatic event. It's shaped by accumulation. Long days where you had to hold it together. Workplaces where pressure never eased. Relationships where you were always adapting, explaining, absorbing more than you received. Little by little, the world stopped feeling neutral and started feeling heavy. There's often a moment most people don't recognize at the time. A night you come home and realize you're not just tired, you're depleted. Not in a sleep-it-off way, in a deeper way. Your body feels hollow. Your mind can't organize another conversation. And the thought of showing up again tomorrow feels unbearable. So you start choosing home more often. At first, it's practical: rest, recovery, space to think. But over time, home becomes something else. It becomes the only place where you don't feel braced for impact, where you're not anticipating criticism, conflict, or emotional labor. This isn't laziness. It's learning. Your system learned that constant exposure leads to collapse. What many people miss is this: these individuals often like people. They may even enjoy connection when their system has the capacity for it. But capacity matters. And when it's been drained too many times without repair, the body starts choosing safety over stimulation by default. Home becomes a temporary shelter, a place to heal, to regroup, to feel whole again. The danger isn't in seeking that refuge. The danger is when no one ever names what pushed you there in the first place. Because without understanding the cause, retreat can quietly turn into a life lived in self-protection long after the threat has passed. Introversion is one of the most misunderstood labels in modern psychology. It gets flattened into stereotypes: shy, quiet, awkward, bad at small talk. But for true introverts, none of that is the core issue. The real experience of introversion isn't about fear of people, it's about energy. For many introverts, social interaction draws from a limited internal reserve. They might enjoy the conversation, they might be warm, present, fully engaged, but underneath that engagement, something is being spent. And the cost doesn't always show up in the moment. It shows up later. Mental fog, physical heaviness, an urge for silence. Not sadness, not anxiety, depletion. The kind that can't be fixed by scrolling or distraction, only by space. That's why home matters so much. Not as an escape, as a reset point. A place where stimulation lowers enough for the nervous system to recharge. Where there's no pressure to respond, perform, or keep up. Introverts don't dislike people. Many care deeply. They simply learned, often through burnout, that without sufficient solitude, they lose access to themselves. Their thoughts blur, their patience thins, their sense of center disappears. So choosing home isn't avoidance, it's maintenance, it's self-regulation. The myth is that introverts are closed off from life. The truth is, they stay close to life by stepping away from it just enough to remain intact. For creators, home often becomes more than a place to rest. It becomes a container, a quiet inner workshop where ideas finally have room to breathe. Writers, artists, musicians, thinkers. Many discover early that their best work doesn't arrive in crowded rooms. It arrives in stillness, in uninterrupted time, in the absence of external demand. Solitude gives their minds depth, the ability to connect distant thoughts into something meaningful. In that sense, loving home isn't about withdrawing from the world, it's about going inward long enough to bring something back. But solitude is a double-edged gift. The same quiet that allows ideas to surface can also amplify doubt. Without external reference points, the inner critic grows louder. Thoughts loop. Perfectionism creeps in. What began as focus can slowly turn into isolation, where ideas stay trapped in the mind instead of moving into form. Home can feel like a sanctuary one day and a sealed room the next. Inspiration flows, then stalls. Confidence rises, then collapses. Solitude doesn't automatically produce great work. It produces raw material. Depth without movement becomes heavy. Insight without expression turns inward. Solitude has a rhythm. Inward to gather, outward to test, shape, and share. Home provides depth. The world provides feedback. For some people, preferring home has less to do with social connection and more to do with sensation. They aren't afraid of people, they're overwhelmed by environments. Crowds, noise, bright lights, constant movement. Their nervous system doesn't filter stimulation easily. Everything arrives at full intensity. So the body works overtime just to stay regulated. Muscles tense, breathing shortens, fatigue sets in. Home offers control. Predictable sounds, softer light, familiar textures. In that environment, the system doesn't have to fight for balance. It can settle. Sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a nervous system wired to notice more. Choosing home in this case isn't avoidance, it's intelligent self-protection.